How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we'll be diving into some live Legend League attacks using Fireball into Rocketloons. And as you can see, yesterday I went almost perfect. I had one little slip up, which I'll also share in today's video. And the day before that, went 6 out of 6 as I showed in my previous video. But yeah, those 2 days actually put me into the top 50 at reset day, or at reset. So I'm very happy about that. And, well, I'll be frankly honest, I haven't been doing as well as on this account, or on the other account as I have on this account. I've been trying to do live commentary on the other account, and I keep making dumb mistakes. So for this particular video, I'll just do voiceover, and I'll try to explain my thinking process and, what decisions I make during an attack. And another thing to mention is that I took out the 2 druids, added in 4 Rocketloons, just to make the Flame Flinger setup a little bit easier, because I feel like the Flame Flinger adds a lot of value to your Fireball into Rocketloons. Also, just before we begin, I want to announce another giveaway of 2 more chess sceneries. All you guys have to do to enter is leave a like, leave a comment down below, and also be subscribed, and I'll pick the winner in a couple of days' time from now on. So, first up, a double rage base. Obviously, you want to be going for one of the rage spell compartments with the Fireball, preferably direct Fireball onto the rage spell tower itself. So in this case, I had 2 choices. I decided to go for the Town Hall compartment, just because my Warden was going to be fairly safe afterwards. So he was going to approach behind this Fire Spitter. As you will see, he will continue onward towards the 12 o'clock side. And he's going to stay relatively safe. He's not going to have to deal with the CC on his own. And he's not going to have to fight the Fire Spitter. And the Monolith is going to stay relatively out of range for a while at least, right? The tricky part here is setting up this Fireball. You have to be extremely careful, because the Town Hall, once you Fireball that compartment, the Town Hall is going to be raged up. So here, I have to invest a freeze to take out the multi-gear tower. Then I'll try to deal with the King, all separately. Rage here. I mean, I was being overly safe just because the Town Hall was also shooting. But once we deal with the King, we can start setting up the Fireball. I'm still kind of waiting a little bit longer for the Rage to wear off until I Ice Block, so the Rage doesn't go to waste, basically. Here, double Invis. And notice, as soon as I Quake, I freeze the Town Hall. So that's very important, because the Town Hall is raged up. And you can snipe it out because it's on low HP. You can snipe it out with a couple of Rocketloons. Now the pathing is set up perfectly for the Warden. You have 1 minute 50 seconds right now, so I'm already kind of thinking, okay, well, I'm going to send in the heroes into the other rage compartment, so let's start funneling. For this case, I did not find much Flinger value, although maybe I could have actually set up a Flame Flinger at this, where I put the Siege Barracks and gotten the multi-arch tower down. But yeah, I was more concerned about planning the Fireball, honestly, for this base, so I didn't really have that much time to plan for a Flame Flinger. And as you see, now we have the King and the Queen pushing in, CC being lured out by the Hero Dive, which, in my opinion, is a little bit better, because the Warden takes about 10 billion years to get through an Ice Golem or 2 double Ice Golem CC. And yeah, I mean, at this point, we're just keeping the Queen alive. The Warden is going to join, though, which is kind of annoying. You really want to avoid that. That's why I deployed those 4 Rocketloons at the top side. You saw I was trying to lure the Warden towards that top compartment. But that didn't work. But still, all good. We have a Rage spell and the RC in the back pocket. And then we managed to get the triple. So this is a double rage base that everyone has seen at this point. And as I said before, you want to Fireball one of the rage spell compartments. That's your go-to. I prefer to go for the double Scattershot compartment, just because the damage output of Scattershots is much greater than the Fire Spitters, especially if you're not, Warden charging into them. So yeah, I go for the bottom rage spell compartment, and you'll see one difference that I make from my previous, Fireball Rocketloon attacks in normal mode is that I'm using a Flame Flinger here. Even though the value is very limited, I'm still going to get a Ricochet Cannon at the top side, plus, damage the Queen, plus take out, maybe this Bomb Tower and the Tesla. And honestly, it provides more value than a Siege Barracks would. Siege Barracks would provide enough value in normal mode for it to be used, pretty consistently, but in this Legends mode, you really want to take advantage of as much value that is being offered. So here, setting up a Fireball, very nice. Have to be careful of the enemy RC. Gonna take her out as soon as that's down. And yeah, the Flame Flinger is doing its thing. The reason why I didn't use a Siege Barracks here is you can set up a pretty easy funnel with a couple of baby dragons at the left side, which is where I will send my heroes in. Also, as you see, as I said in my previous attack, you want to plan the Warden pathing ahead. So he's charging into an area that is relatively low damage, which makes it manageable to multitask afterwards, which is something I really try to look for. So here, starting my multitasking where I just try to push my heroes in. The Warden is fairly safe, so I guess there isn't that much multitasking necessary. Be careful of the Crusher Mortar bouncing onto your Queen. Because you don't have the Druids, you really want to freeze the Crusher Mortar if you see the Queen taking way too much damage. Or pop the King early, like I did in this case. So the Super Minions, I mean, the Flame Flinger got amazing value. I think it even took out the Queen, if I'm not mistaken. So very, very good value. And I'm trying to here push the Warden into the Town Hall because there's no direct access for my hero dive. So the Warden is responsible for the Town Hall and just sprinkling Rocketloons into this monolith to kind of weaken it up. But I sent in 4 by accident. So be very careful. Don't send 4 Rocketloons like I did. I thought the Rocketloon was going to die before the 3rd was going to arrive. So the Warden was going to, stay on the Town Hall. But yeah, I managed to lure him over, but all was good. Like, we got enough value. So yeah, we managed to get the 3-star. So going from a double Rage base to a double Poison base. Here, there's a lot of value in the core for the Fireball. If you hit the Inferno Tower, for example, you're going to get the CC, which is very high up on the priority list. Probably the highest building on the priority list for Fireball. And you also get the Monolith as well, which is really good value. So we're going to go for that. Also, I noticed there is Flinger Value. Again, always take Flinger Value. Always look for it. Always take it if you can. Just sniping out the mortar sets up a really nice Flame Flinger. I'm going to get the Fire Spitter and a Ricochet Cannon. So that's way more than enough. And also you'll notice here, I start the Warden and I kind of want to push him towards this Fire Spitter, which is where I want to Fireball the Inferno Tower from. That will make the easiest Fireball basically, because he will be the closest to that Inferno Tower in that position. And you'll see what I mean here. I Rage. The Multi-Arch Tower plus an X-Bow, you have to freeze. Or, drop a couple of Rocketloons to distract for the Multi-Arch Tower damage. But here I went for a Rage just because I want to speed the Warden up into that Fire Spitter. As I was saying, you will see he gets really close to that Inferno. So if you look at the Rage aura around the Warden, you will see the edge of it is very close to that Inferno Tower, which means I don't have to Invis that right side Ricochet Cannon. So I can save myself an invisibility spell here. 1 Invis, very good Fireball value. We take out the CC, we take out the Mono. The Flinger is doing its thing. I'm not sure if it looks like it might go to the Wizard Tower, but it's okay. It's not the end of the world. I think actually it stays outside the range, so I forgot that it actually took out the Ricochet Cannon as well, which for sure helps, right? But yeah, the Warden is going to go towards the Minion Prince and the King. So be careful. I rage him up early because you really want to be extra careful around those 2 heroes with the Warden. And meanwhile, pushing the heroes in, created a cheap funnel. Again, not using Siege Barracks, created a cheap funnel for my heroes. More than enough. And yeah, now pushing my warden into this king. Again, I used an invisibility because I realized that I was too late with my headhunters. And yeah, in that way, I was able to save the warden. Hero dive pushes through. I send the royal champ basically to support the warden here, keeping him alive. Still 2 free spells left, and yeah, we actually get a pretty convincing overkill. Here's another double poison base. Again, first thing, you want to choose where you want to fireball. There's quite a few spots where you can fireball on this base. Secondly, you want to think of the warden pathing of where you want the warden to go after the fireball. And thirdly, you want to set up a flame flinger if possible. So I saw there was a lot of flinger value at that 2 o'clock section if I snipe out the builder hut and the mortar. And that's what I do first thing. I mean, it's gonna save me a little bit of time if I started the warden first, but I wasn't necessarily sure just yet. I just started the warden. I wasn't sure where I was gonna fireball in this case, so here actually a poison tower got pulled, so just have to wait it out until it kind of disappears to set up my flame flinger. But for the fireball, I was, well, unsure because I don't want the warden to charge into that fire spitter, so I do want to take out that section here where I'm sending in Rocketloons. That way the warden is going to go to the left side and he's not going to fight that fire spitter. So I'm investing quite a bit into this, and I have to Invis here just because I was a little bit late with my rage. Again, you should also not be tentative with your rage or with your spells. You really want to use them early if you can. We get solid value. Direct fireball here. Again, I noticed that, see the edge of that rage aura? You can gauge where the fireball is going to go by just judging whether that rage, whether the edge of that radius touches the building or is closer to the building than another building. And I saw that the builder hut was just a little bit farther to the outside. So I saved myself an invisibility spell. The Flame Flinger is doing very well, and I'll leave him do its thing. He's going to take out, or it's going to take out a bunch of buildings here, have to react with a Tesla pop. Freezing the queen down because I was late with my headhunter. Again, do not be tentative with your spells. And I think everyone will get used to the amount of damage in the coming months. So we'll be familiar with what we need to invest into the warden in certain situations. Here the queen kind of veers off, but she's back on track. The flame flinger is still going. It's getting insane value. The warden is doing its thing. I've invested 2 spells, 2 rage spells at this point on the warden, which is perfectly fine. You don't have to spend a rage spell onto your hero dive. And at this point, it's just cleanup. We're just going to send the RC from the from the ricochet cannon compartment, and yeah, we should be good to go. Here's my attack that went to 98% 2-star. And I think it's going to be more important than ever before to just break down your attacks and see how you could have improved. In this case, I wasn't a fan of that CC, and I really wanted to take it out with the fireball, and I was looking at that builder hut beside the scatter shot to try to reach that CC, and that was the plan here. Also, I noticed that the Expo was very exposed at the top side, so again, because I dropped the 2 druids, I have more Rocketloons to set up my flame flinger, and I decided to go for the snipe on the Expo. Whether that was worth the value is definitely debatable, but I did end up getting a bunch of it. But I don't think that was the mistake at all. I think what had happened, and you'll see later on, is that the warden got into quite a bit of trouble here. So I want the warden to take out the town hall, and that's a pretty heavy task, especially with the king and the minion prince in its range, which is exactly why I decided to go for the fireball onto the CC, because If the CC came out as well, my Warden would have just been gone in seconds. So that was kind of the thinking process. Here, I rage up the Warden. Still not sure where to place the invisibilities. I ended up raging because I wasn't convinced that I have set up my Warden in an ideal spot to throw that fireball into that builder hut. Still haven't sniped out that stupid wizard tower. There we go, finally. And now he's placed or positioned well for me to set up a triple Invis fireball. Very good. I mean, good value. Now the hard part comes... Well, the Warden kind of stepped into this RC, which is a little bit unlucky, I guess, because I had to invest an extra spell and then swagged a freeze on top of that. A little bit of a panic move. You see the Flinger got a scatter shot and the multi-arch tower, which was good value. And yeah, the Warden is going to do his thing. However, I do not have many spells left. And I invest my last rage spell onto the Warden. Here, if I had a Headhunter remaining, and maybe if I send our RC a little bit sooner, I could have saved the Warden. And that's the thing I like about the RC, is that you can use her to pull the Warden out of the base if you do not have the spell support for him. But honestly, this base looks crushed. It's all about time at this point. So the approach was fairly good. It was a little bit tricky. I also swagged the freeze at the start. And again, those mistakes really do pay off. So, or really do count, right? That's what I'm trying to say. Making small mistakes does count. And, well, I had to pay for it with a time fail. I think if I had that freeze remaining, I would have actually tripled. But yeah, we end up time failing and getting a 98% instead. So, a double poison base. Again, going through the checklist, first thing you do, you want to pick a fireball location. So, for example, in this case, first glance, I noticed a lot of fireball value by that X-bow at 7 o'clock. Gets the Crusher Mortar, Poison Spell Tower, Scatter Shot, you know, Ricochet Cannon, all that stuff. Secondly, where you want the Warden to go. I also noticed this Flame Flinger value to be had at 3 o'clock. So always take Flame Flinger value. You snipe out that X-bow, it's just basically free value for your Flame Flinger. Take out the Inferno Tower, all that stuff. Now at this point, I wasn't sure where I wanted the Warden to go. And you have a little bit of thinking time while you do the Warden charge. You know, where do you want the Warden to go? Do you want him to go towards the Town Hall CC Minion Prince? Or do you want him to go alternatively to the top side where it's fairly safe and, well, the Spitter should stay out of range of him relatively, or for a large majority of time. So, for me, the second option was much better, and that's what I decided to do. Here, setting up the Fireball. Also, you'll notice it looks like he's going to go down, but he will go up eventually. I was ready to send 4 Rocketloons to redirect him, if needed, onto that Air X-bow. If you send 4 Rocketloons towards that Air X-bow at 10 o'clock, he was going to, you know, follow the Rocketloons. So I was prepared to do that, in case he went, you know, down towards the Town Hall. But luckily, he turns around, so I didn't have to do that. Flame Flinger doing its thing. It's actually not going to get as much value as I was hoping for, and you'll see what happens. It just starts hitting buildings, well, the builder huts, I believe, at the top side. Now we're pushing in the heroes, and yeah, just coasting, basically, trying to keep an eye on the Warden. As you see, he is staying outside of the range of that Fire Spitter, which is making my life a lot easier. Sending in the Headhunters for the enemy heroes, also very, very important. You don't want to leave all the heavy work for your queen. Gonna send in the Headhunters to help out a little bit. Pop in the King ability a little bit earlier than I wanted because I do not have any Wallbreakers left. So again, this is where the Flame Flinger comes in clutch. It did get a little bit of value. It didn't get nearly as much as I was hoping for because I placed it incorrectly. Like, I was hoping it was going to take out the Multi-Arch Tower and the Inferno Tower, but it didn't. But yeah, here we're basically trying to not time fail at this point because it looks very good. The Queen's And the queens, sometimes they follow these air skellies. I swear, like, I absolutely hate that interaction, but it is what it is. Sometimes they pull the warden just like they do in this case. But yeah, the super minions are going to clutch up here with the Inferno anyways and the Giant. And yeah, we'll get the 3-star. So finally, we have a relatively easy fireball base, Rage Invis core. I think on my other account or my other attack that I won't show in this video, I also had another one of those bases, but the approach is basically the same. You obviously want to fireball the Rage compartment, right? In this case, fireballing the Crusher Mortar would get the CC, and that was my kind of go-to in this case. Sniping out the air defense just so that my Sneezy doesn't get completely cooked by it. And what I was thinking at this point, again, I'm thinking Flame Flinger, right? And I see a lot of value to be had at the 2 o'clock section. And I did the setup a little bit incorrectly. I should have set up the Flame Flinger. I think Itsu did it in one of his earliest or latest videos, where he set up a Flame Flinger after he's done the Fireball, and I should have done that. So the timing of the Flame Flinger was not good, but, well, you'll see in a second. We do the Warden Charge. I'm kind of trying to push him towards that Expo so we can take it out, and, well, also hopefully the King, because the King would have kind of cooked my Flame Flinger as well, right? So taking him out would also be quite necessary. But yeah, you see, I place a Flame Flinger, and I realize that, you know, the Flame Flinger, I'm gonna invis the multi arch tower. So what's the point of placing a Flame Flinger if the Flame Flinger is just gonna go right into the multi arch tower after I place the invisibility? So that was a big mistake, and I decided to bite the bullet, just, you know, go for the fireball anyways, because you have to get the fireball, right? And you see the Flame Flinger pops out, and now we have a bit of a problem because the Warden is going to follow the super minions. So my thinking process here is, okay, I have to funnel the super minions into the town hall, which is why I'm deploying a bunch of Rocketloons into that multi-arch tower, and it does not go down, unfortunately. So I have to send a bunch more. The Warden is getting completely battered by that flippin' town hall. I send 4 Rocketloons for the town hall so that the Warden redirects and takes it out. And yeah, okay, well, we kept the healers alive, so that's good. Poison the Minion Prince as well, because we did fireball the CC. And I think we got out of it. Very good save. The thing is, in this mode, and I'll probably say it in a bunch of videos, because not many people actually make it to, like, the end. But in this mode, you can recover. It's very hard, but you can recover, which is what, in my opinion, makes this mode that much more fun. Like, mistake is not the end of the world, and you can actually recover like I did in this case.